The bottom of the portrait photography market is getting wiped out right now, and it's happening fast. Artificial intelligence is doing in seconds what cheap photographers were charging $100 for. Free digital galleries trained a whole generation of clients to expect everything for almost nothing. And if you're a portrait photographer sitting in the middle of all that, taking any client at any price, the ground is disappearing underneath you. There's a name for that photographer: normal. And I don't mean your pictures are average. I mean the middle class photographer, the one who never actually decided what kind of business they were building. They just started it and it grew, and here they are. You can't just be a normal photographer anymore and expect to make a good living. So listen, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly who the middle class photographer is, what changed in the last couple of years that made that spot so dangerous, and what to do instead. By the way, if you're new to my channel, my name is Sarah Petty. I'm a New York Times bestselling author and founder of the Photography Business Institute, where I teach portrait photographers how to run a profitable family-first business. So how does a photographer end up in this mess? It almost always happens the same way. Somebody buys a camera, starts taking pictures, the pictures are good, people say so, and eventually somebody says you should charge for that. So they do, and a business grows up around them without them ever making one real decision about what it is. It didn't get built on purpose, it sort of just happened. Nobody ever asked the only question that matters at the start. Do I want a lot of clients at a low price or a few clients at a high price? So they take whatever comes, any client, any price, so happy just to be a photographer. I know, I did it. That's the volume trap. And most people in it don't think they ever made a choice. But taking any client at any price is a choice. And you made it by not making it. I want to knock down the excuse everybody reaches for first, which is market saturation, right? I don't think that market saturation is your problem. If there are a lot of photographers in your town, I think that's good. That shows us that there is demand. The people want this, that they're paying for this. And if you're just simply better in a few ways, you can take that business from everyone else. Saturation is proof that the market exists. Everything working against photographers right now, which is AI, phone cameras, market saturation, all of it. The one that did the most damage in our industry, I think, is the free digital gallery. Think about what that trained your client to believe. They book a session, they pay a small fee, then a link lands in their inbox where 300 plus images are there for them to own forever. And if you don't think they're owning them, they can screenshot them. AI can take your logo off just like that. That's the deal they think they're getting, and that's normal to them now. So when you try to offer that client a beautiful piece of art for their walls, you're not just selling art, you're arguing with an expectation the industry handed them for free. That's the whole normal photographers dug, and they dug it themselves. Which brings me to the thing that fires me up more than anything else in this business. When a photographer tells me that their business is suffering and the reason is their competition or the economy or their market, that is a red flag they're waving in the air and you can't miss it. I can pick up on that within often seconds. And I learned to spot that back when I was working at an advertising agency. When people would walk in the door, you could tell who was going to succeed and who wasn't. And it came down to what their excuses were. The blamers of outside forces didn't make it every single time. And listen, I opened my first studio 2 weeks before 9/11. If anyone could use an excuse, it was me. But the world will always need photographers, always. So the second you blame something outside of your control, you're handing over your power and you're saying, I can't because of this thing, instead of saying, okay, this is happening. How do I succeed in spite of that? That's not me being hard on you. That's the most hopeful thing I can tell you. And if the problem is the economy, you're stuck with it. If the problem is you can go fix it. And that's the good news. By the way, if you like what I'm sharing here, sometimes it's tough love. You will love my free weekly newsletter on the boutique business model. It's seriously a quick 5-minute read that can come into your email box that you can learn and get actionable ideas to grow your photography business. So click the link in the description and get signed up, my friend. I didn't always understand the problem with being a normal photographer, right in the middle, until it all fell apart. My weeks were crazy. I used to photograph at a really popular park near my house. And one day I left my client list in my car and it must have flown out the door. It was typed up on just a sheet of paper and then scribbles all over it. Names, phone numbers, where every client was, notes. It was just a mess. Well, somebody found it. They knew me. They figured out it was mine. They knocked on my front door because I lived near this park and they brought it back to me. And I stood there thinking, they must think I'm like a crazy person juggling all of these details. That was on its way to the day when it actually did break. But that's not what made the light bulb really go on for me. It was a different day. And I remember it just so clearly because I was sitting in front of my window at my studio and I had just finished paying bills. And a client called to reschedule. And I thought, no problem, reschedule. I lived really close to home and I had my little newborn baby twins there. I think they were about 6 months old, actually. And I went home and I thought, I have an hour. I'm going to go give love to them. And I picked them both up and I was rocking in the chair and they smelled so good. They were so yummy. And I was smiling and I was feeling so much love as I was calculating how I just paid bills, but the checkbook where I added everything up back in the days of a checkbook, there was no money left. So I'm sitting there rocking these babies thinking, okay, this stinks. I'm working so hard to pay for childcare so I can photograph other people's children and pay someone to rock my yummy children. And that was the moment I knew something had to change and I had to make different decisions because what I had done up to that point was not working. So what I created is what I now call the boutique portrait model. And here's the change I made. In the model I walked away from, I was selling my time and handing over all of these images. So the only way to earn more was to get more clients. In the boutique portrait model, you're going to be serving fewer families. You decide what they're going to order with them before you even click the shutter. And they're excited to work with you to create beautiful artwork. They're invested in the process, which is more of a relationship sales process than just this transactional turn and burn. So you have fewer clients that come back and they refer their friends and you have bigger orders. And that, my friend, is how you get your evenings back. Once I got one client, her name was Julie. I was never tempted to go back, not one time, because I was at such a breaking point that I either was going to make it work, which thankfully I did, or I was going to leave photography altogether because I wasn't interested in working that hard for no money. I'd left a great career as a marketing director at an ad agency that I loved, but I worked all the time and I had a good salary and I had benefits, but I was working twice as hard for a fraction of the outcome. So there was no going back for me. I was not tempted in the slightest. Now, let me put real numbers on both of these models because this is what usually clicks for people. Listen. Two photographers both want to make 100K this year, which, by the way, you can do. So these two photographers are in the same town, they have the same skill, and they have the same camera. The first one's on a volume model, promoting cheap mini sessions, discounting, maybe getting a couple $100 a session. Let's say $400 to be generous. To be able to make $100,000, that person needs to attract and serve 250 clients. That's 5 families every week, 50 weeks of the year. And that math assumes they never get a vacation or never have a slow February. And all 250 of those sessions comes with hours and hours and hours of overshooting, over editing, over retouching. Then you pay for gear, software, insurance, marketing, and that photographer didn't build a business. They bought themselves a job that doesn't pay very well at all. The second photographer works the way I do now. When you get that first right fit client, mine's name was Julie. So we all talk about our Julie, which represents a client who's invested $1,000 or more in wall portraits or in an album or some type of printed framed artwork. The whole thing changes. Like you only need one client to never go back. Think about it. At $2,000 in average, a $100,000 business takes 50 clients. That's one client a week with very little back-end work. At a $4,000 average, that's 25 clients, one family every other week. Same $100,000 being brought in, One of them photographed 250 clients, one photographed 25. The whole process takes the same amount of time for both. When we added it all up, we found that the second photographer is really actually working fewer hours overall, not just doing fewer sessions. Because they planned each family session before the day, they're only retouching what the family ordered. Here's the number that stayed with me for years. A genuinely talented photographer with no system can make $17,000 a year. An average photographer with the right system can make $150,000 a year. Same market, same clients. The difference was never talent. Case in point, we helped a photographer named Jamie make this exact switch. Jamie started early in the 2000s and kept photography as a second job, never clearing more than a few $1,000s in a best year because the calendar was stuffed with mini sessions, and that hit a wall. After the switch, 10 clients, 7 seniors, 2 families, 1 sibling session, just over $20,000. And that came during one of the hardest stretches of Jamie's life, which is a part I want you to sit with because every excuse in the world was sitting right there and not one of them got used. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Sarah, I don't do volume, I do mini sessions. Listen, same thing, prettier name. And watch how that plays out. Because best case, you fill every single spot. Congratulations, you sold your next 3 to 4 weeks of editing and retouching. That success is actually the kiss of death. Worst case, and this is what usually happens, is you don't fill all the slots. So you've saved your whole weekend, you've gotten babysitters, you're all set up, and there's so much competition in the low end of the market, the price sensitive end, and you're priced low, but you went and you had a person at 10 a.m. and then at 11:30 and at 4. So you burned a whole weekend. You didn't have high volume enough to make it worth your time. So you're not volume and you're not boutique. It's like the worst of both worlds. And that's just the money part, my friend. The bigger cost is what it does to the relationship. A mini session is a transaction. It's driving through the bank teller, handing your money, getting a receipt, and driving off. Instead of sitting down with a banker and having a conversation about getting the right account and what does it look like, and let's plan for the long term. Almost nobody thinks in terms of lifetime value of a customer. I'm photographing my clients' grandchildren right now because I've had relationships with those families for decades. Photographers selling digital files never get that because the loyalty just isn't there. Their client goes to the next cheapest person next year. No loyalty, no repeat business. And every January, you start over from zero because there's no repeat. And listen, I'm not going to pretend that volume never works because that wouldn't be true. Here's when volume works. Volume can work when the volume is prearranged. So let's say you're photographing little kids soccer, like a sports league. And so they run a soccer league where they've set it up so that every 12 minutes for 2 days straight, you have another team coming in. Or you book this school and you photograph every single student in the building. Someone else fills your calendar and you're booked solid. That's a real business and it's volume done on purpose. Here's what's not volume. Posting on social media, looking like you're begging for clients, hoping enough people book. That's not a business model. That's a wish. I'm always going to be true with you. And listen, the honest line is this. If somebody else is guaranteeing to put people in front of you, volume can work. If you're hoping for numbers yourself, it's not going to work. And if you're discounting and trying to compete with the low end price sensitive part of the market, you're not going to get fully booked, so it's not going to work either. Listen, I hope you're finding this valuable. And if you're ready to stop taking any client at any price and you want help building the thing that replaces it, book a free call with my team. The link is in the description below, and let's look at your numbers together.